And there we go. Oh, you better mute that, Kath. So, is that camera straight? Can't tell. Possibly. Maybe. Who knows? Kath, is that camera straight? Straight enough. It looks like it might be a little bit on the... It's a bit wonky.
Okay.
Yeah, is that better now? Can't tell. That'll do. Anyway, evening everybody. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. Tonight we're going to do a live build. Excuse the rustling, we're finishing off our tea. Well, say tea rather than biscuits. Or, no, not. What are you having?
Mini cheddars.
Mini cheddars, Kath's having. Evening to all of you that have joined us. Now, unfortunately, I can't see the live chat very well. I have got it on a screen over there, so I can see some of it, but I can't scroll through it specifically. So if there's a question you're asking or something you want to say, you're going to have to relay it to Kath and she'll relay it to me. And you never know, I might even answer your question. So tonight we're going to do a build in the new Sahara, the C500 case, which I actually did the unboxing and quick overview of today. I've recorded that video and that's edited, so that'll be released in a couple of days' time. But I was really excited to actually have a look at it and do a build on it. So I thought, well, actually, what the heck? I'll do it tonight because, well, what else would I be doing? So we've got the case ready, got all the components here. So I'll have a quick look on the chat a minute and say a quick hello to everybody. So we've got the British Noobs in the house, Letters in the house, Angry Doge, Booty Earn, Super Goofy Extreme, got Thor Odinson. I can't see any more and I can't scroll. So if there's anyone I've missed, I do apologise. Oh, Kev. ClickTech Kev, I did notice you in the early comments before I started the stream, so good evening to all you guys, girls and non-denominations out there tonight. So what have we got going in this build? So actually if I change the camera to number 4, so you can see some of the stuff we've got here. So motherboard that is here is the ASUS X370 Prime Pro. On there we've got 32 gigs of V-color RAM, DDR3200 RGB obviously, and connected to that, as you can see currently, we've got our Arctic Freezer 240. Reason that's connected is because it was in a system and which I've just built, which was ironically the InWin Alice, which I put it all in there, and then I said to Kath tonight, well, I need to do a build, but what should I use? So I took it all apart again and we're going to stick it all in this new case. So we've got a EVGA GeForce GTX 1070. Potentially we might replace that with the iced rainbow cooler, but this is a 95 watt rated cooler, which I've actually done another review for on a separate video, which hasn't been released yet, so spoiler alert. Although it says it's rated for 95 watts, with the 1700X, it was kind of borderline. It was keeping the temps under control, but being as I've got that there, it's actually going to be nice to kind of see if the case can fit all this water cooling stuff in and all these fans and stuff without too many headaches. So that does work with the system. Now talking to the system, because it's Sahara, it's the SaharaGaming RGB setup. So you get one of these with the system. So this is the control box, the remote control, and you've got like a little control box, which is PWM for fans and all that kind of stuff. And there's 3 or 4 different versions of the case available on the market, and I'll get the case in a minute when I clear this away a little bit. But essentially what you've got is you've got a few options. So the C500 on its own, just the bare case with triple tempered glass, front and 2 sides. Then there's another option, so you can get it with 4 included Pirate Dewey Ring fans. So yeah, 4 of them, that's pretty cool. So you can have that option, or alternatively you can have it with 4 of the new, 3 rather, of the new Typhoon 14 fans. Kath's got her hand up, so I think she's going to be asking a question.
Who wants to know, is this going to be the new RGB Puke PC behind you?
Noob's asking, is this going to be the new RGB Puke PC behind me? Potentially it could be. Yeah, there is potential for it. Maybe. I kind of like the InWin because of the white colour, but well, we'll finish the build up and see what you think. I actually really like it. Yeah, we'll see, maybe, possibly. So anyway, this is all the Sahara kit, so there's different options. There is also potentially going to be an option coming out in the very near future, which is going to be with, I believe it's 2 200mm fans in the front. So very, very reminiscent of the H series, the H500 from Cooler Master. So yeah, there's a lot of similarities there. So you've got the 500 in the branding, all these different options, flexibility, so lots of possibilities. Anyway, let's clear some of this away and we'll get the case up on the desk and we'll start taking it apart and getting it ready to put some stuff inside. So Kath, can I pass those over to you? Thank you. And you can have those as well. That one and that one, I think I don't need at the moment. Take the graphics card over.
Don't think I might have touched it.
Okay, so let's get the case up. Oh dear. So here, this is the case. Take the sides off. Okay, Kath says I've got to take the sides off because of reflecto pouring and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully you can't really see a great deal. It's crazy. Today has been freezing pretty much all day, and now it's getting to the point where it's feeling pretty warm in here now.
Hey Google, so I'm freezing.
Oh, don't turn the heating on.
Okay, I'll boost the heating.
Oh, thanks for that.
I'm cold.
Right, talk amongst yourselves. I like how everyone's interested to see what Kath's having. Smoky barbecue cheddars. My choice. Kath said, oh, I went, what are they like actually?
That bit smoky bacon like.
Are they?
But
The clue's in the title, I suppose. So, this is the other
I
side.
prefer beefy hula hoops.
Tempered glass, more tempered glass. So, 2 pieces of tempered glass.
Do you want one?
No, I might, thank you. And on the front, obviously, you've got tempered glass again. So let's just take that off quickly. So front panel, as you can see, there's quite a big gap between the actual glass and the fans. So even though it looks like it potentially could be a choking point, there is actually a good, probably about 3/4 of an inch gap between the glass and the fans themselves. And you can actually mount the fans either in front of the mesh or the chassis, or behind the chassis, and there's still actually a ton of room for water cooling behind it. So hopefully I can get some decent angles for this, or maybe you can see it, but there's a really big cutout just here. Which, can you see that there? Yeah, not very good lighting, but you get the idea. There is a really big gap there for putting water cooling equipment in. Now actually that reminds me, because I did put a power supply in here earlier for testing purposes. So let's take that one out. And this is a traditional power supply mounting, so you just got 4 screws to put the power supply in, and you haven't got one of those, I don't like those weird kind of grommet things or kind of adapters which you screw to the power supply first of all, then slot the power supply in, and then do that up as well. It's like you've got 4 screws that you don't really want to have to do anyway, and then you've got another 4 to do for the bracket. Just more screwing that is unnecessary. And there's nothing worse than unnecessary screwing. So this is the RGB controller, as you can see, which I've just tucked in here for now. And a nice thing to see on this RGB controller is it's SATA powered, so no Molex. And there's also a connector in here for LED. So on the top of the case there's a button which you can manually press, kind of like the reset button. So you just press it and it will cycle through the various colors. So the controller itself goes through, you can control it in 3 ways. So you can control it manually from the buttons if you wanted to, but that's probably not a great idea. You can control it from the motherboard. So if you've got a motherboard with addressable RGB, you can plug it into that with a pass-through cable, which I can't see at the moment, so I must have put that away already. And also you can control it from the remote controllers provided. So plenty of flexibility there. Kath's got her hands up again, so you must have a question.
Aidan Logan wants to know, is this ATX or MATX?
Aidan Logan's, is this ATX or micro ATX? This is both. It is a ATX case, but you can use micro ATX in there should you wish to. That was something I touched on actually in the review. Kind of, if you're buying cases like this, I don't think really micro ATX would do it justice. I've seen it done before, people do it, I've done it before now. put a micro ATX board into an ATX case, but it just doesn't look right really, and especially if you've got a lot of glass like this one has, probably the last thing you want to do is to be having kind of gaps and weird stuff going on, so you want it to look as nice as possible. Now the good saving grace with this particular chassis is the tempered glass has a bit of a smoke tint to it, so for those of you that have built with smoked or tinted windows before, in certain areas where it's dark anyway, it almost goes completely black, so you only highlight the areas where there's illumination. So for the back panel, where your wiring is going to be, it's going to be quite dark anyway, so that's going to make that glass look that little bit darker, so it does give you a little bit of kind of wiggle room to make it a little bit of a mess, but not too much of a mess. Now obviously this is a live stream, so things don't always go as intended, but we'll do what we can to make this as nice and as clean as possible. And from those of you that have seen the thumbnail for the video, you've probably seen that I put on there faster than Kerry. Now the reason behind that is because of a couple of Kerry Holzman's live streams I've been watching recently or tuned into. And it says it's doing a build, and then it's like part 1, then it's part 2, and then it's part 3, and like each stream is 3 hours long or something crazy. It's like, come on. I know it's nice to have a chat to the people who are watching the videos, but that is stringing it out a little bit. Anyway, so that is the chassis pretty much stripped out. Now obviously I'm not going to put the fans back in again because they're in anyway. And actually, what do you think of the fans while we're on the subject? So these are the 140mm Typhoons. I think they're pretty cool. The fact that they're RGB and all the wiring is done on these nice 6-pin connectors to plug into the control box just simplifies the wiring a little bit, which I quite like. And the case has actually got a 140mm fan on the back as well, so you can put a 120 or a 140 in there. There was a different version of this, which actually was a 200mm fan, which Sahara Gaming have said that they weren't entirely happy with. They're revising it a little bit. So the 200mm version of this isn't going to be available for a little while yet. It is apparently still on the cards, and if and when that does happen, then maybe we'll do an update video and swap out the fans for the 200mm ones, but obviously that will just be on the front panel, not on the back. Top one supports 120s or 140s, or obviously a 120, a 140, a 240 and a 280 radiator. Maths is hard. Kath's got her hands up again, there's another question.
Steph 2K asks, what radiator can it fit?
What radiator can it fit? Okay, so top wise, again, up to 280. On the back, a 140, and on the front, a 360, which is pretty phenomenal if you think about it. That's a lot of cooling in what is a relatively smallish case. So if I take a quick measurement actually, so height wise, you're looking at 18 inches, and depth, I'll go down a little bit more. So it's about 16.5 inches deep. So in European money, you're looking just over about 410mm deep, and height wise, where are we? About 465. So it's not actually a big chassis. Yes, Kath?
Alexa says it can't handle 360mm radiators, so deal breakers. And users 90C temp okay for RX 570 when gaming.
User says, is 90 degrees C temp okay for RX 570 when gaming? No, not really. That's quite bad. You shouldn't have it that hot.
Is it glass on the back panel?
No, back panel is metal. Top panel is metal with a removable mesh filter, which is pretty much what we're used to seeing these days. It's only the front panel and the two sides which are glass. Which, again, the glass panel on the back has always been something that I've been I like to see because it's quite nice, like the crystal case from Corsair, those kind of things. And what was that case we reviewed a while back? The cheap one we bought off eBay that Tony had as well.
It had no clothes on.
That was the white one. iBuy Power or Cyber Power or something. That had it on the back as well. It is kind of nice to see it, but it is also a little bit of a pain in the ass. So,
Aaron says he tried rubber anti-vibration screws, Great invention.
Bootier and saying about the plastic screws,
No.
good invention. Rubber screws, sorry.
Anti-vibration screws.
Anti-vibration rubber screws, yeah.
Angry Doge asked how much.
Angry Doge, how much? The case in its stock form, without the fans and the controller, 55 to 60 pounds here in the UK. The case with the RF controller, the remote control, and either the 3 140s or the 4 120s, 75 to 80 pounds in the UK, which actually I think is pretty justifiable, really. If you take into account the fans, I'm not sure of the price of the 140s on their own, but the 120s in the UK, anywhere between 8 to 10 pounds, and the controller is 10 pounds. So you're looking at about 40 pounds worth of additional value from just the RGB side of it. So that would put the case at about 40 pounds. And I don't think anyone would really complain at a case with tempered glass and all this kind of nice airflow for 40 pounds. I think that's I wouldn't say it's a steal necessarily, but certainly is great value for money.
Movement, the right side panel if looking from the front, is it glass?
The right side panel, if looking from the front, is it glass? Yes, it is. So this side is glass, this side is glass, front side is glass, that is metal.
Here, not glass.
The feet aren't glass and the base isn't glass. That would be
Unless he
nice.
uses his wand.
Yeah, if you use a magic wand, they possibly would become that. So let's get this motherboard in, and what have I done with the I/O shield? Where did I put that?
Storm
Oh well, never mind.
Ventus was the cheap case.
Stormforce Ventus, that was the one. Thank you. Who was that who said that?
Yes.
C McKnight? Tony? Don't know.
Noob.
British noob, well done. Right, what should I put in here first? So let's put the motherboard in, I think, or at least get some motherboard standoffs. So which ones do we need? So we need some more standoffs. So we get those put in. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves.
Steph asked if it came with PSU included.
Steph, no, it didn't come with the power supply included. The power supply that I've just taken out was one I just removed. In fact, actually, I think that's something that is kind of missing from the PC market. It used to be quite often that you'd buy a PC case and it would come with a power supply, albeit generally a cheap rubbish one, but someone like Corsair or EVGA or RIOTORO, they would be prime candidates to sell a case. Actually, saying that, InWin have done one, haven't they?
Yeah.
And I think InWin are actually going to be starting doing more of that now. We're going to be putting cases actually with power supplies straight off the bat. I guess it's one of those things that people don't always see the perceived value of a power supply. Normally in the industry, people are kind of like, they see the case, they see the RGB lights, they see the processor speed and the graphics card, and that is pretty much where the kind of the value aspect of things starts and pretty much ends, really. Right, now this is a top tip. When you put in motherboard standoffs into a case, try the thread on the actual on the head thing, on the head thing, don't do it on the head. Try the thread on the actual bolt or nut or standoff or whatever you want to call it. Try it before you put them in, because there's nothing worse than trying to get one of these started with the wrong thread and then having to try and take the motherboard out to lever the screw out. So these look like they're going to be the fine thread. So generally in PC building, you've got two types of thread. There's the fine thread, which is normally for things like SSDs and used to be for floppy drives and things like that. And then you've got your coarse thread, which is like for securing a power supply or a hard disk drive, if you can remember those. It's been a while. And that's the two main types of screws you get. So yeah, these are, oh, sorry, my back's going. I'm getting old. Mike's unboxing is feeling it today. So we are using the fine screws, and let's grab my box wrench. I think that's called a box wrench. This is one of those tools which I've had for a long time, which is super handy. So this is a 5mm box wrench screwdriver, which is really good for putting in these standoffs. Let's think what they're called then.
From Bootier.
Bootier and says I've got to use a metal parts tray or magnetic parts tray, so there we go. There's some screws in there already. Where was that, on the side of the fridge?
Yeah.
Right, let's take those out. because we don't need those for now.
Nice one is. You had a bigger one, didn't you? Shiny.
It's behind my desk. So we're fully magnetised now. So I've got one more of these to put in. I think 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
One day you'll get past that.
Yeah. One day I'll get to 4. So let's get to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now this is another top tip. If you're putting a motherboard into a case and you're not too sure if you've got enough screws in, if you pull out all the screws to start with and put them to one side, that way you can tell if you've actually used the right amount of screws.
Or alternatively, you can chuck them on the floor.
Yeah, or just throw them on the floor and wait and see what the vacuum picks up the next day. That's another good way of finding out if you've actually done it right or not. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 screws there.
Got it to 9, double figures.
I got to 9, yeah, I'll get into double figures sooner or later.
Counting with mine.
It's like Sesame Street, but slightly more retarded.
Okay, the number 9.
So this is definitely not the way to put a motherboard or a cooler into a case, but what the heck.
This
So,
is going to end badly.
yeah, what could possibly go wrong? So we'll gently put that almost into place. Stay. And ideally, when you're doing this, you should probably leave the PC lying flat. That would be the ideal situation. But sometimes in life, things, my friends, aren't ideal. So you just have to go with the flow. So this is where I'm, yeah, this is, have you ever seen anybody knocked out by an Arctic cooling product? And I don't mean knocked out as in, wow, that was great. More knocked out as in, ouch, that hit my head and I now have a concussion.
IO shield?
IO shield is MIA, so we're not going with the IO shield. I actually took the IO shield off because I was going to use it in that PC which doesn't have an IO shield, which has been annoying me. And being this is going to be probably built and then taken apart and then rebuilt and then probably taken apart again.
And then sold on Discord.
And then sold on our Discord. Did I say it out loud? Okay, this is where an IO shield is actually a good idea because it lines up the motherboard much better. Now really, you should start in the middle. If you get the middle screw in, then the rest of them should all kind of do it. What's that, Kerry normally forgets the IO?
No, he doesn't.
Doesn't he? Well, he wouldn't. Never ever? Never ever ever?
He's an expert.
He is an expert. I don't claim to be an expert. Which is probably good.
Why's my phone case got these little holes down there?
Let's put a strap around. So this is all going rather well. That's obviously a bad omen, isn't it? What could go wrong? So, now this motherboard doesn't actually have any real RGB as such. It's got the kind of the Aurora Sync, which is the old 4-pin 12 volt, which is okay, it does the job, and actually that's what I've got running in the background. But these days, I think it's a little bit on the kind of old-fashioned looking side. So we won't be going 12 volt, we'll be going full addressable, so no motherboard pass through. Again, I've got nothing to pass through, so not going to do it. I'm definitely going to knock this off in a minute. And actually, I suppose it's a pretty good time to say thank you to everybody who's actually contributed to what is going on in this build. So currently we've got the case, obviously from Sahara Gaming, so thanks to those guys out there for sending it to me for review. The RIOTORO power supply was sent to me for review, so thanks to you guys. Arctic cooler, that was sent to me as well for review, so that was great. The V-color wasn't, I actually paid for that, and the SSD, NVMe drive, and the motherboard, and the processor. So I haven't done particularly well, but it's still good nonetheless. Right, so I don't need to get to anything else up there at the moment. Actually, I suppose it's probably a good idea to put the power supply next before I cause too much of an issue at the top there. So if I can get if I can get Kath to pass the power supply over to me, please.
Really?
Yeah, try not to drop anything.
On the camera wire.
Thank you very much. So we're going to be using the RIOTORO ONYX gold rated power supply. At least I think it's gold rated, if I remember rightly.
For its bronze.
Can't see what it says, it's so small. It's there.
80 plus bronze.
Oh, it's a bronze. Oh well, never mind.
That's massive.
So let's spin this round and we'll stick the power supply in. I could do one of those lazy Susans for this, which I do actually have an electronic lazy Susan, but it's a bit too big and a bit too clumsy. Holy Jesus, Mother Mary of God. Okay, now look at that. Now that is perfect positioning there for this backplate. There's been quite a few motherboards recently that I've used on different cases, and this bit has just been like kind of partially covered by part of the cutout at the back, which makes it kind of pointless. So that is fantastic. That's a very nice big hole. We like big holes. Big holes are good. So we'll put this in fan side down. There are actually rubber grommets on, or rubber bungs I suppose you'd call them, on the bottom of the case to support your power supply should you wish to. Depending on the size of the power supply, you might find that the power supply is actually a little bit high anyway. So it doesn't actually make contact. Reaching around for the screws. I'm having a reach around.
There's quite a lot of innuendos tonight.
There is a lot of innuendos, I don't know why. I think it's because I had that fruit juice just now.
I think you're fruity.
Made me a bit fruity. So let's line this up. So Kath, is there any questions that I need to answer at the moment whilst I am screwing this in? Because it would be quite easy to answer questions currently, because this is...
Ninja 47 thoughts on the RX 580 in 2020. I've had 2 in total, both coil wine, and both were in different PCs.
Coil wine is very common these days on pretty much almost all graphics cards. They're running at such high frequencies that coil wine is almost impossible to get away from. I would say, for those of you that are watching at the moment, just a quick show of hands, who's had a graphics card recently that has been subject to coil wine? And I think pretty much all of you at some point are going to get it. Not necessarily while it's idling or just doing its thing like the PC in the background, but as soon as you click on that fire strike icon, or you run a game or whatever it may be, I think most people are going to suffer from it at some point or other. It does seem to be where these cards are just ramped up so much, and obviously they're trying to save money wherever they can as well, so they're not always using the finest of components, which is unfortunate. But that is pretty much, coil wine is a relatively natural occurrence depending on how the circuit has been actually made, or designed I suppose you would say. Oh, why is that stuck in there now? Why? There, that's better. Get out of my way. Right, let's put that around there. So I'm kind of thinking out loud, almost, well not thinking out loud, I'm kind of designing in my head how this whole wiring setup is going to go, because it is, it's always slightly more challenging when you're building a PC where you've got a see-through side panel on both sides, because you do have to take a little bit more of a care and attention. Now here is the first of the snags of this build. The motherboard actually comes up higher than the cutout for the power supply. So you need to disconnect your 4-pin and 8-pin respectively, and then join them back together on the inside, which I know isn't a deal breaker and it's not the end of the world, but it just would have been nice to have that thought through a little bit more, or maybe for me to have thought it through a little bit more. But then having saying that, for a build first time is fine, but if for some reason you're using a PC and your power supply fails and you need to install a new power supply, the last thing you want to do is to have to take out your motherboard to replace it. So if you've got an 8-pin connector, which isn't separatable or detachable, separatable, is that even a word? Have I made up a new word then? Kind of.
X are separated.
They are. Yeah, so that's one thing which is a slight annoyance. Again, not a complete deal breaker. Most people have a power supply which will be fine with that kind of setup. And we can tuck these wires around. There is actually a lot of cutouts or punch outs all around here for wiring up various devices, so that's pretty nice to see. So that'll go around there quite nicely, and because it's all nice black cabling on a black background with a smoked glass, it's going to be fine. So we're pretty happy with that. So next one is the SATA connector, so we'll leave that in the basement area for now.
Ninja's never had coil wine on NVIDIA cards.
Ninja's never had core wine on NVIDIA cards. Well, you've been very, very lucky.
And a letter, no coil wine when you strip the GPU down and slap on a water block.
Yeah, if you put a water block on for eliminating core wine, the insulation or isolation, I suppose, if you would be, of the block around all the components would reduce it significantly. And I suppose water itself does kind of add to that dampening effect. So that's a good way of doing it. Although, that's actually quite an interesting proposition. Right, actually, I'm not going to run that one through there. I'm going to see what happens and maybe put that through a little bit later. Let's put the main motherboard power connector through.
Does having white rust on GPU heatsink affect the performance of the card in any way?
Sorry, there's a question from, who's that question from? User, does white rust on a component?
On GPU heatsink.
Yeah, on a GPU heatsink, is that a bad thing?
Performance of the card in any way?
Well, you shouldn't really have any kind of rust. If it's more like a chemical reaction, that could possibly be a bad thing. It would probably be a good idea to see it, really, to get an idea of what is actually happening to it. Right, so power supply cable's gone through quite nicely. What else can we put in at the moment? Let's stick in a SATA cable. So some of you purists out there, you're probably going to hate that. Oh, SATA. What a terrible thing. So run that through there. Nope, that's not good. So run that all the way through and then back out again. So that is pretty much most of the inside done, actually. Let's get this this water cooler attached because it's starting to scare me. So let's put this big beastie in. I was contemplating actually just going with regular air cooling on the top, but because this is all connected and this case is kind of aimed at water cooling, I figured it'd be a good idea to stick it in there. So now it's just to work out the routing of the water pipes. That is one thing about this Arctic freezer cooler, which is slightly annoying, that the water pipes are actually super long, like really, really long. And whichever way you put them, it doesn't really help much. Now, if you had a much bigger case, it would be cool, no pun intended. Now, I could obviously mount it at the front, which would take up some of that room, but I don't think that's going to work out well either. So I'm just going to put it around this way, I think. See if we can line up some of these holes. I think that's pretty much bang on, apart from the fact that the screw's gone straight through. All right, let's get this screw ready. The saga of my ongoing graphics card problems is still continuing. I was about a week ago now, supposedly receiving a RX 5700. Sorry. Yeah, RX? Yeah, it is RX, isn't it? I'm getting so confused with these things. So an RX 5700 XT, which bizarrely went missing en route to us. And Kath and I actually went out trying to find it. The address where DHL said it actually ended up.
Well, a different address.
Yeah.
The same name.
Same name and address kind of thing, but slightly different. And somebody had signed for it. And yeah, we couldn't find it. So the search continues.
Ninja wants to know, what's the best cheap mini ITX case?
The best cheap mini ITX case, that's a difficult one actually, and it depends really what it is you're putting inside it and how much clearance you need, what kind of graphics card you're going to be putting in there, and all those kinds of things. So I really like the InWin, the A1, which I actually are using in the front room at the moment, which is a really nice little case. It does have its limitations, but I think pretty much all ITX cases do to some extent.
It heats plastic really well.
Yeah, unfortunately it does look slightly like a microwave, which is not great, but it does the job.
No, best cheap.
Cheap.
Yeah, that's not cheap, is it?
The best cheap one, I think there was a Colink one, if I remember rightly. I'll have to look into that.
Do you think American schools are better than UK schools?
Do I think that American schools are better than UK schools?
I think they would be.
Don't know. I suppose it's like anything, depending what area you live in.
And what you're interested in.
And your interest, yeah. If you're in a kind of like a relatively either rundown or sort of slightly dodgy area, then obviously the kids that go to that school are going to be slightly dodgy individuals. So I don't think there's a kind of like who is better or which school is better. It's more about the environment the school is in, really. I guess. I don't know.
Well, that was only me asking.
Oh, was you asking that?
Yeah.
Was it?
Well, Aletta was saying she couldn't remember school. And Angry Doge said it was like prison. But I would imagine American school's more fun and hip than...
Well, because American schools, we get that kind of impression from
They don't have to wear uniform
our
or
programs
drive.
like Beverly Hills 90210 and Saved by the Bell, Ferris Bueller, various others. We get an idea of what American schools could be like, but I'm guessing they're pretty much not going to be like that.
Because UK schools are pretty rubbish.
Yeah.
Funtime HZ said, why did you name it Sahara?
Why did I name it Sahara? I didn't, unfortunately. The company that sold it, they are a company called Sahara Gaming. So I'm just going to slide that radiator along a little bit more for no other reason than I wanted to line the screws up. Sometimes it is a powered screwdriver would be good, or maybe some tweezers, or a Swiss Army knife with a suitable blade. And there we go. That is nicely installed in there. Well, I say nicely installed. I'm still not totally sold on these cables. These not cables. The pipes for this water block. It would be so much better if Arctic had designed this with custom fittings on there, so you could just unscrew them and put in maybe some hardline tubing in there. That would have been absolutely fantastic. Anyway, so we've got the top half done now. That's all looking good. And we'll put our mesh back on, even though it really is kind of a bit pointless. And now it doesn't fit very well because the screws of the... because I've got washers actually on the screws, because the screws are slightly small, it's actually making this dust filter raise slightly, so that's unfortunate.
What about Bit Phoenix Prodigy? Is it for mini ITX?
Right, let's take that back off. That's not working out for me right now.
My head.
Wear it on my head. So actually I've just noticed one downfall with this already. So where we've got the RIOTORO ONYX logo on there, which is in red and white, that is actually... Okay, something moved. That is actually not really what I want to see, because obviously there's colour to that, and I don't want to see that. I want to see rainbow puke and things like that. So that's a shame. But anyway, moving on. So let's do the front panel connectors. We've got quite a few. Sorry?
Do you want this?
What for?
Very
Burn RIOTORO power supply.
I haven't got Barbie.
So what have we got here? So this is the USB 2. So let's connect up that. And actually, for connecting up the front panel I/O, this board is actually pretty decent. We've got a good selection of connectors, and look at that. That comes out in pretty much exactly the right place that it wants to be. I don't think I could have worked that any better. The only downside I would say really is the fact that it is USB 2, not USB 3, although there is a single USB 3 header. Make sure I got on the right pin.
Alexa says that's the reason why she prefers a custom loop to an AIO.
Oh, what, because the cables?
Funtime HZ built a custom loop in an NZXT-H200, which is a mini ITX that looks sexier than him. Well, her.
That is a nice comment about the case, the mini one. Very good.
Doge likes the window.
Doge likes the window?
Yeah.
What, the side window?
For the PS2.
Oh right, yeah. It's quite nice.
And Charles Arnold's in the house.
Charles Arnold's in the house. Good evening to you, Charles. Hope you're doing well. Can't be doing that well because you're sat here watching this. But still, I sympathise with you because I'm sat here as well. So that is most of the I/O done. So let's pass the rest through. And we'll get this. That is actually a really nice feature of this case. The I/O is such a breeze to wire up because of where those holes are. That actually is making life considerably easier. So we've got the LED one, so we'll put that back through because we don't need that. And actually, that's quite nice. They actually made the LED switch slightly longer on the cable so you can easily identify it. Pretty cool. So hard drive LED, so that one goes on the bottom. So hard drive LED, you've got the positive diode goes to the left hand side, negative to the right. And also the same for your power LED. So positive diode goes to the top left position on your I/O. And the minus goes the other way. The power LED and the hard drive LED are the only two connections really in the I/O which actually do matter which way round you put them because of their polarity. With the reset switch and your hard drive switch, you can pretty much put them around either way. It doesn't really make a great deal of difference. But the power LED and the hard drive LED do make a difference. So do be careful when you're wiring them up.
Says hi.
Hello to, what was his name?
Knee Rasher.
Knee Rasher. That sounds like a skateboarding term. And that sounds like a cat. Hello, cat.
Kev's back.
Click Tech, Kev's back.
39 viewers just then.
Woo! 39 viewers.
British Noob Serve is the most he'd seen.
That's pretty impressive. I think the reason behind it is because there's a crap ton of snow in America. People mostly can't go out, can't go to work, and they're bored and they're at home. And
Canada.
And Canada as well, probably, I suppose, snow. So, yeah. We get that at Christmas. We get loads of views at Christmas because people are stuck indoors, can't do a lot, and they're like, oh, what should I do? Oh, Mike's Unboxing's released a video. It's either that or go and do the gardening or something else really boring like decorating. So, let's stick the video on. But for those of you that have done, thank you very much.
Charles Arnold's doing great. Sorry you missed the start. ClickTech likes the look of that case.
ClickTech likes the look of the case, which is actually quite lucky because if I'm correct in saying, Mr. ClickTech will be reviewing said case very shortly also. It'd be interesting to see if you make as much of a mess of it as I am.
Richard said good evening, and do you have any Carlsberg on a school night?
I would have Carlsberg on a school night, but unfortunately, I am currently bereft of Carlsberg. There is no Carlsberg in the house.
Knee Rasher is from Berlin.
Oh, from Berlin. Wow. We are getting something of a global audience right now. Okay, so what do you reckon? Inside at the moment, it's actually looking pretty clean, especially in that I/O area. I think that looks absolutely brilliant. I don't think I could have worked out much better than that at all. That has worked out quite nicely. Happy days. The back of it, you don't want to see, it's like a roadkill in the back there. Not great.
Bad Hack Time says it's a nice build.
Thank you, Bad Hack Time. Well, I think the good idea now would be to maybe get some cable ties on the go. Actually, let's put the graphics card in first, and then we can get some of the other bits and pieces done. The hard drive is going to be a bit of a kerfuffle. I can see that happening. Yeah, let's stick the graphics card in next. So this graphics card is the EVGA. Oh, a bit dirty on there. EVGA GTX 1070 FTW Plus version. Oh no, sorry, it's not. It's the SC version, superclocked. Now this is the bit I should have done earlier, which I haven't, because obviously live stream, don't do things as you should. And the rear punch outs actually are the ones that are fixed. So I've actually got to physically bend them to break them off. And this is a point where you probably a good idea to actually look twice to make sure that you are bending out the right ones. So these actually come out pretty easily. So just bend the back a little bit and a little bit of a wiggle. The metal area is actually very thin, so that comes off pretty easily. So at this point in your build, it's a good idea to have a look around and just have a look at your connections, see what you haven't connected. Just make sure there isn't anything which is loose or you need to look at. So make sure that all your cables are connected through your coolers and all that kind of stuff. Especially on ASUS boards or any board which has a dual fan header at the top, because well, depending on which cooler you're using, if you're using water cooling, because that section now is pretty much covered up, if you do plug it into the wrong connector, you're going to end up taking your cooler back out again to actually gain access to that section at the top, unless you have got kind of super Mr. Bendy fingers and you can get in there. For most people, it's going to be a problem. For that reason, air cooling solutions generally tend to be a little bit simpler because they take up less of the room up here, but still, anyway, that's enough of that. So make sure on your GPU section or your PCI Express 16 slot, the retention lug, just push it back so it's ready to accept the graphics card, and then line up the two tags at the back and then the PCI Express card. And when you've got it all lined up, you should be able to just give it a bit of a push and you should click into position. If it doesn't click into position with minimal force, then take it away, move it back out and have another go, because you've done something wrong and it's not lined up. And do these go through? Kath's got her hand up again, so that means it's question time.
Andrew Doge says, what CPU are you using?
What CPU are we using? So CPU in this one is going to be a Ryzen 7 1700X, which I figured actually is one of those CPUs which actually when it's under load can generate a relatively considerable amount of heat. So I figured it'd be a good idea to use that one, just to test out to see what the thermal characteristics are like of this case. Now, in the unboxing I've done of the case already, earlier on today, we did go in and put the fans in and kind of got a good blast of air through it. And it does look like it's going to have some really good airflow. Now, at the moment, we're in the area of almost becoming negative pressure because we've got a 140mm exhaust fan here. We've got the two 120s here pushing air out the top, and we've got two 140s at the front pushing air in. So 280 in and 140, 260 out. So there is a, no actually, 240 plus 140, 380. So we've got 380 out and 240 in. So we're at a bit of a loss pressure wise, but because of the Arctic cooling fans generally will be running at a relatively slow speed, and also you've got air resistance from the radiator and the grill, so the air pressure in there is going to be more resistance, whereas the front fans have got virtually no resistance at all and the rear one's got very little resistance. So it should still maintain a positive airflow pressure for the most part, unless all of the fans are at 100%, in which case then you would start running into problems. So again, that is something to take into consideration, but generally under normal conditions it should still be positive air pressure, which we'll hopefully test at some point with some vape smoke. Yes, Kath.
Vape's probably flat. Is there any way to fix the problem that occurs when your RGB fan strips don't light up when connected to your motherboard and rock headers that look compatible on papers?
There's a question there about RGB stuff not lighting up when it's connected. So if it looks like it's compatible, i.e. 3-pin or 4-pin or whatever it may be, if it's not lighting up, then generally you've got an electrical problem. Normally most RGB strips will light up when connected, even just if they illuminate as a default color or go to unicorn puke or whatever it may be. You should get something out of them. If you're getting nothing at all, then I would be considering some kind of electrical fault. And speaking of electrical faults, let's plug in the graphics card now and give it some juice.
Would you agree that 8 cores would be the best way to go for gaming, considering next-gen consoles are around the corner that will utilise more cores and threads?
There's a question from Ninja. Would I agree that 8 cores is the way to go for gaming in the future? Well, yes and no, really. It's not quite as clean cut as that. 8 slow cores are going to be okay for gaming. I suppose really you have to look at the development of consoles, because depending on how consoles are developed at the moment is reflective of what is going to happen in the gaming industry, because generally most of the games become ported in some way, shape or form. So if you look at what is happening in the gaming market, then look at what is happening for the PC market, you'll see AMD years ago with the FX range decided more cores was the way to go, whereas Intel went for raw performance, and we all know how that worked out at the time. Whereas now, if you try and use an FX processor in a Windows operating system, it actually runs really, really well, which the FX processors were pretty much ahead of their time. So in that respect, I would say that more cores is the way to go over frequency. Does that answer the question? Does that I think it does. For gaming wise, there will be people who say no, you definitely need more raw performance for games, and obviously the fastest gaming chip currently is the 9900 from Intel, which does have the all-core boost frequency advantage. So that does kind of go some way to prove that particular theory. But I don't know.
For the lols, where's the IO shield?
For the lols, asking where the IO shield is. Currently, I don't know. It is in one of the boxes in this room somewhere, but I'm not entirely sure where. So that is why it hasn't been included.
Which is a pet hate of yours usually.
Yeah, I do actually really hate it. And
it is a deal breaker, but you buy a second-hand one.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy a second-hand motherboard without an IO shield, purely for the fact that when I've done it before, I've always ended up going onto eBay and buying one for some crazy price, almost like probably around about £10, which doesn't seem like a lot for an IO shield, but if you take into comparison the motherboards or the kind of cost of motherboards, so a brand new board that I'd be looking at, probably £70 to £100. The second-hand version of that is somewhere between £40 to £70. So if you take into account the IO shield, which is a very, very, very small part of the equation, costing £10, it just seems crazy for a little piece of metal, but people do charge it, and sometimes I have paid it purely because I don't like the look of it, but I'm prepared in this particular occasion to overlook it. I'm not entirely happy about it though. So let's get this tidied up.
Me Rasher said, forgot the IO shield.
Am I being trolled for the IO shield now? I think I possibly am.
Did you bring me chocolate?
Okay, so that's our graphics card wired up. There we go, looking pretty decent. So let's go around to the back now and see what we can do with this mess, because this is not looking good. And also we need to put the hard drive in.
He's dying this morning.
So there we go. There is the back. That's not looking great, is it? Right. So methodical. So we'll start from this side And we'll start cable tying this.
That's nice.
I'll get that right there.
It's very unfamiliar.
Now what I'm going to do with the cable ties now is just loosely tighten them, just so we've got a little bit of wiggle room should we need it.
You're not dying now, Michael.
These little punch outs are a little bit too close to the outside edge to be completely usable, but it'll do.
Wearing the side of hell's the IO shield.
The IO shield, I'm going to spray paint one on.
Where's one of those 3D printed ones?
I have actually got some 3D printed ones which I could put in actually, and I might even do that just to...
Just for the lols.
just for the lols, yes.
As you keep saying it.
Oh, is it? It's for the lols, is it? Talking about IO shields, god damn it.
Not keep saying this, but the last one.
IO shields really, well, in a positively pressured case environment, IO shield actually is impeding your cooling for the VRMs, because that is where your VRMs and heat sinks are. So if you've got no restriction there, air is going to blow out. And actually that's one thing I might do. I may do a test to see if having an IO shield actually improves or makes the cooling of the VRMs worse. Because I'm pretty sure it will, especially in a positive pressure case. We should get Steve from Gamers Nexus to do that. He'd know the answer. Steve knows everything. Clever guy. Okay, so let's get the hard drive mounted in there. I don't think I could have chosen to do this any more difficult, really. So there is our SATA cable, so we'll put that to one side for now. And that is our fan. That's another fan. British Noob, if you could magic me up a quick fan, that's right, a quick IO shield, that would be rather nice.
Can do magic, can you remember?
Bad Hack Time can do magic?
Yeah, do you remember?
I don't know. What magic was that? I do not recall that magic.
Aussie 1970 builds like PCs to sell, and he'd never do a build without an IO shield.
No, I wouldn't do
That's
a.
his OCD.
I wouldn't do a build without an IO shield. It's despicable. Don't know how people can do it. It's absolutely horrendous. Let's get some tweezers on the go. Now, I did work in a PC shop many years ago, and I used to go crazy with the cable ties, and I'd be cable tying everything to everything. My boss at the time, Roy, said, you can do that build with 3 cable ties. And that was one of the things that's kind of always stuck in my mind that, no, you can't. and I don't particularly want to. I like using lots of cable ties. It makes me feel good inside.
Like that.
Right, so let's see if we can wire this in now.
That was your verb before the phone verb.
That was it.
There you go. Do that noise.
Okay, so that is, I don't understand what you are going about, Kath, sorry. That's went right over my head. Right, I might have to, I think I am going to actually unplug that power supply and put that in, possibly last, because that is the thickest of the cables. So let's pop that one back out. Now again, this is part and parcel of building a PC. You put cables in, you get them in the right place or almost the right place, and then you decide, actually, no, that doesn't work for me, so you start again. Which is all part of fun. And also, I do have a slight challenge because our friends at Freudian slip, our friends over at Sahara Gaming actually commented when we were emailing, saying it'd be interesting to see what you make of this case and how good a job you do of cable management, because his turned into a complete rat nest. So I can't let the team down. it's highly likely that I will. So what is that one there? So that's going to come slightly tight there. So we are going to start getting into a rat's nest situation down here. Let's have a look. Is that K tray removable? Okay, so time to take the hard drive tray out, or to put that Mike's unboxing cut there. That's probably me. So we have got a couple of screws there, so we can remove that hard drive caddy or tray. Now you can actually mount two 3.5-inch drives in this. Why you'd want to, I don't know, but some people still do use them. I often find nowadays with builds, if you put a 3.5-inch drive in there, all it does is just promote more rattles and kind of that dull hum, which is just rubbish. And this doesn't appear, from what I can see, no, it doesn't have any isolation, so this is going to vibrate like crazy, which is not brilliant. In actual fact, that is kind of a little bit of a cardinal sin to actually not provide any decent options for anti-vibration in a chassis. Is that right? No, it goes around that way. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, lack of vibration or some sort of anti-vibration strips. It's not a good thing. And we'll actually notice it straight away. So, who of you out there at the moment have tried to win the Sharkoon gaming DAC? So if you haven't done it already, we're doing a giveaway. The gaming DAC, which the video was released a couple of days ago, we're going to be giving them away slowly but surely. So if you want to be in to win them, go over to our Facebook page, look for Mike's Unboxing, find the post. Kath's going to post it in the comments anyway. So if you want to be in it to win it, you can apply to win. The giveaway will be done during our Saturday night live stream. So even though we're doing a live stream tonight, which is, I don't even know what day it is. What day is it today? Thursday. Even though we're doing a Thursday night live stream, we'll still be doing another live stream on Saturday. So don't worry, you won't be missing out there. I haven't done the giveaway early or anything. It's just, this is an impromptu live stream.
For the lols, as a problem, we just ate 7 Mother corners in the past hour.
Good going. Mother corners are great. Now this drive cage actually has got various options of mounting. Oh, he says. This is never easy to do with this much light. Oh. Lovely jubbly, that is in position now. So even with that drive cage in there, with the drive on there, you've actually still got tons of room. So if you did want to put in a 360mm radiator and the fans on the inside section, you really could do it quite easily. Although just getting the screws in isn't overly easy. Again, most people probably never going to put a hard drive in here, so this section is pretty much irrelevant to most of you.
And that just says no to spinning rust.
No spinning rust, unless it's brake discs.
Then she also says no to SATA as well.
Yeah. Beggars can't be choosers here.
EVGA. Anti-vibration on HDD. When was this thing? I knew that the disc can make a real sound as the disc is spinning, but is it a real problem for a lot of people?
Yes, it can be. Anti-vibration pads have been a thing since, well, probably since 7200 RPM drives were becoming more mainstream. Right, let's cut through that because I'm not entirely happy with that one. So let's go to wiring back from the bottom and go back through. So what have we got here? So that's our I/O. I'm determined to make this look good, even if it kills me.
It was the strawberry shortcake and white chocolate one.
Oh, damn. So get that to there. I could actually, do I dare put in a sticky pad. Just put in a sticky pad. Now, if you haven't used these before in your builds, little sticky pads, these stick on and you can loop a cable tie through them. Have I got a black one? A small black one. Is that even a thing? There we go. One of those little sticky pads. So you can stick this onto the base. Actually, no, there's no point. That's not going to make any difference at all in that position. If I had a smaller one of those, I would do it, but I've only got them in the white, and that might actually show up. Oh, what the heck. Let's do it. Let's do it. In for a penny, in for a pound. So you get your sticky fixer.
Plasters.
I don't want plasters. Trying to make it look good, not like I've had an accident.
Band-aids.
Band-aids. I had enough of Band-aid at Christmas. Nice. This is going to be ultra tidy. I can't believe this PC has been in and out of cases like ridiculous amounts of time this week.
Your audience said thanks, Mike, for your great videos and very good reviews. Greetings from Germany.
Oh, thank you, Thor. Thank you for your kind words. And wie heißt du? Ik heiße Mike. Ik wohne in Deinen. Das ist ein Wort von Bristol. That's about all I learned at school.
Ich bin krank.
Oh yeah, and ik ben krank.
So I've got hangovers.
Sorry, can't come to school. Ik ben krank. I'm pretty sure that is
Wrong.
wrong. I do know some other German words that I picked up from various sources, but it's probably not the time or the place. Okay, so now we're actually getting somewhere. Well, maybe. Okay, so you guys probably can't see that at all. So is kind of getting there a little bit now. So we're getting the wires into the right sections, or hopefully into the right sections. Yeah, we are into the groove. So I think we could probably, this section here, again, is probably not going to be seen a great deal. And because of how dark it's going to be in behind that smoked glass, I don't think it's going to be a big issue. So I'm not going to be too concerned about that. Now that cable there can be pushed into the front section. Now the thing to worry about as well when you're doing cable management, especially in areas like this, is because the side panels go in and sometimes crush on the cables, you may find that unless they're completely flat, you might not get the glass in there. And because it is tempered glass, there is a tendency for it to shatter, which hopefully, fingers crossed, that will not happen at this particular juncture. But again, it is possible, so do be careful. Kath has a question. She has raised her hand.
Can you read out Thor's?
Can I read out Thor's something?
Stefan.
Stefan, ik woon in Hanover. So that means he lives in Hanover. Ik is I, wohne...
Stefan, is that his name?
Yeah. For the lol says zip drives, I haven't seen them in so long.
That's the letter's got some in her basement.
For the lol says, when the clock strikes 9:40, everyone say where they're from. Country like. When's 9:40?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Yeah, zip drive. I do quite miss zip drives. That used to be a thing back in the day, trying to get a zip drive, a floppy disk drive, a CD drive, a CD burner, and a DVD drive all into the front of the case. What were we thinking of? And trying to get a hard drive mounted behind where the floppy drives were.
Thor says you're right. Your translation.
For the German. My German isn't the greatest, I'll be completely honest with that. This bit is slightly challenging because now I've got the remote control unit, so what do I need to connect up? And I think the biggest problem wire is going to be this one on this side. So I don't particularly want to mount it up in here, even though, actually saying that, Bristol, he says choking to death. So what do you think? Do you think I should stick the controller in this section? Tuck it under there. I don't think sticking it on the side is going to work because the glass, but possible. So I think in there is going to be the only way forward, which I was trying to go against doing really, if possible. What the heck? Will that run along there? So this is why it's a good idea not to firmly cable tie down some of your wires, just in case you need to move them.
Oh yeah, a letter is like 9:40, which you have to wait 5 hours.
Yeah. So if I take this along here, that'll go down to there. So yeah, we'll go with that. I think that is a better solution to a slight problem. And also it's going to reduce the amount of cabling down in this back section. So that's all good. Kev, you looking forward to this?
Do you want to know where everyone's from?
Yeah, where's everybody from? Kev's going to tell me where everyone's from. So give me their name, I'll have a guess where they're from. If I don't get it first time, you can tell me.
Angry Doge.
Angry Doge is from Bristol?
No, Latvia.
Latvia?
Yeah.
Ah, right, originally from Latvia, okay.
Me?
You? Are you from Bristol?
Yeah.
Okay.
Our lols.
For the Lols?
Yeah.
For the Lols, let me see, where would For the Lols be from? I'm thinking the UK somewhere. Is it in the UK?
Slightly gone.
Scotland? France? You're pointing that way.
I don't know which way.
Austria?
No, do you want me to say?
Yeah, go on.
Ireland.
Ireland? Well, that is... Oh no, Ireland is sort of UK.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Northern Ireland, Southern Ireland. Northern Ireland is part of the UK, isn't it? Southern Ireland is Ire.
Noob?
British Noob is from Surrey?
No, Angola.
Angola? What the bloody hell is that? I've never heard of that.
G. I can't say.
If you can't even say their name, I'm going to struggle with their location, aren't I?
England, Blackpool.
Blackpool?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's Chinese.
No, I looked. I shouldn't look.
Aussie, 1970.
Aussie 1970. I would hazard a guess. Just, I'm going to throw it out there.
Stereotypical, yeah.
But I would imagine that's probably going to be Australia.
No,
No?
Nottingham.
Nottingham. Bloody hell.
Way off. A letter.
A letter, original country or where she lives now?
No.
Ohio. Ohio, I believe, is a letter's current residence. Prior to that, I don't know actually. I wouldn't.
I think she has told us.
I think she did mention something like Wales from one of the sides of the family, so I wouldn't hazard a guess on that. I don't know. You have to put me out my misery on that one, Kath.
Yeah, Ohio. Charles Arnold.
Charles Arnold, I would say Sheffield?
Begins with an S though.
Begins with an S. Surrey?
Yeah.
Whey, get in there.
Same as Noob.
Same as Noob, possibly, kind of. Okay, who else is there? We got
Clevtic.
Clevtic at tiktok.com. Kev is Tamworth, I believe. Tamworth?
Near Birmingham.
Birmingham.
That's what he's put.
Good one.
Birmingham.
Oh, we do like Birmingham. It has a fond place in our hearts. Mostly to JP Cars. Paul and Andy, if they're watching. They won't be.
Ninja 47.
Ninja 47.
Oh,
I don't know. That's a tough one. Shall I guess, or would a guess be inappropriate? Ninja 47, I would say north of Gloucester. Possibly.
no.
No?
But used to be.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's Devon, but used to be Birmingham.
Oh, Devon, cool.
Birmingham.
Another Brumming?
He's got a Birmingham accent.
Oh, cool.
And Georgie is how you say the name I couldn't say.
Right.
Mike Choke saying Ohio, who I can't even say it.
Ohio?
Yeah.
Is it Ohio? Is there 2 Ohios or more than one? I think there's only one. Is it near Chicago? Or is it a suburb of? My geography is awful. It really is. I'm surprised I actually find my way down to the end of the road.
When I can't say, Noob's going to call Dave.
All right.
He likes that.
Call him Dave. Yeah, if you can't pronounce it, either say it really, really loud, like British tourists on holiday, or just call him Dave, or mate, or buddy, or pal.
He said I didn't
those
butcher
work.
it as much as most. Boutier.
Boutier. Now that's a difficult one. I'm thinking possibly somewhere outside of the UK. But I don't know if, I wouldn't really hazard a guess where outside the UK.
Belfast, living in Guz.
Oh, Belfast, okay.
Living in Guz. Where's G-U-Z?
G-U-Z. Don't know. Good, never heard of it.
Good. All dolls.
Golden New Zealand. Can you get away with that? New Zealand? That's terrible. Getting through a lot of plastic here. A letter, not a letter. Oh, Greta, that's the kiddie. Greta would not be happy with the amount of plastics we are using right now.
Absolutely pleased that you've got
Yeah, Letter won't be happy with that, will she? My apologies. Actually, I don't apologise. Oh, now this is another schoolboy rookie mistake. To put the connector for the thing in somewhere you can't actually get to it.
Plymouth.
Plymouth?
It's Guz. What did you get in GCSEs? Dave wants to know.
What did I get in my GCSEs?
Because he's had his informant's time.
Told off most of the time for either smoking or eating a pot noodle.
He's a year 11 student.
My GCSEs, I honestly can't remember. I think I passed pretty much everything, but not with particularly good grades because unfortunately it was at a time where I discovered both alcohol and cath. Probably wasn't the greatest of things to find at that time of my life when I was supposed to be taking exams. But I was always one of those people at school who just didn't really try because I couldn't be bothered. Which is a bit like this wiring.
Never apologise in regards to me, Mike. I love plastic. Oh no.
Oh
You went
dear.
there again.
She went there again. Oh, look at that. That is a work of art almost nearly. This is not turning out to be too bad. So as long as I can get some power into this sucker, we should be pretty good. Oh, PWM connector. So PWM connector, even though we're not going to be using the RGB, which there is an output for, we are going to be using the PWM connector, so we really do need to wire that sucker in.
Do you think you should build these PCs like Blue Peter used to build their things?
Here's one I made earlier.
And you have it in stages on
Yeah.
your desk.
That would be a lot easier, but far more expensive.
But more fun.
Not more fun. Get in there. Right.
And then we could have a Labrador.
Now we're cooking on gas.
Did they have a Labrador Blue Peter?
Oh, I need to wire that behind there. I don't really need to wire it behind there, but I'll get to. The trouble is now I've spent so much time and effort on this wiring, I'm not actually going to want to take it apart.
Kev wants to know, do you want to go up and do his?
No thanks.
You can come down and do his.
I'm absolutely fine. Right, so we're going to pass that through to our connector on the bottom.
Why don't you have a build off live stream together?
A build off live stream.
Both building the same PC.
It's not a bad idea, but ultimately flawed. So which one is our water pump? One of these is a fan header, one of them is a water pump header, so. Sorry if the audio is a little bit muffled at the moment. I've been eating a bit much recently, so I've probably got a couple of extra chins which are blocking the mic. I do apologise.
Mike's chins are blocking the mic.
Mike's chin boxing. I used to have a boss called Mike Chin. Okay, so we're getting somewhere, allegedly. So, right, so we need to power that. So we'll stick that in that one. Is there anything else which needs to be tucked over that side? No, that's fine. You find actually with wiring a PC, it's all about layering. If you get the layers of the wires pretty much down, it does make life considerably easier. That can go along there.
Dave has a question.
You may need more
What's
cable
the difference
ties.
in RGB between 4-pin 12 volt and 3-pin 5 volt.
Ooh.
Since most boards have the 4-pin variant.
Okay, so RGB differences. So for those of you that haven't seen it, there's a question that's come through about RGB, and actually is very relevant in this particular build that we're doing. Sorry, I was going to put this down on the side while I sort out this cabling whilst thinking. So motherboards have two versions of RGB generally. There's two kind of main standards, one of which is the 4-pin 12 volt RGB. So that uses three 12 volt feeds and one return feed or a ground, and that then produces the voltage to the LEDs. Now the LEDs on the actual strip, there's actually 3 colors in them, sometimes 4 if you've got a white as well, and they work by different amounts of power go into those individual LEDs. Whereas the 5 volt addressable system has one LED, but inside of the LED is a microchip which controls the output of the color and also the position of the LED within that strip or on that fan. So the controller knows which LED is at number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. So a lot of RGB software now in the addressable side of it will actually ask you the question, how many LEDs are on your strip? Because it needs to know. So if you've got, say, the unicorn puke and the red's going around at a certain place, it knows which part of the strip to turn that red off and to start again. So if you've got like an 8 LED fan and you've got 12, then it kind of overruns and it doesn't look right. It doesn't always work out quite right because really addressable RGB should be daisy chained, whereas most of these controllers act as repeaters, so they just repeat the same sequence over and over, which is where the more expensive kits like the Corsair system, because it's USB controlled and it's a more elaborate system, you can actually individually control every single RGB or addressable RGB light within the strip. So have I made that more confusing now?
I don't think so. Everyone else has answered as well. So.
Oh, okay.
Kev says you need a bigger studio for that, maybe rent out Carrie's kitchen.
Do you know what? I was thinking about that very same thing earlier. It would be so nice to have a carrier's kitchen right now, because I am actually running out of room quite desperately. In fact, there's 3 cases currently inboxed in our front room. So if anybody's after a cheap case, drop me a PM. Or just join the Discord and we can discuss it further there.
This is where Kev generally fails because he had to cram the cables in and smash the side panel down.
This isn't...
Harry would still be screaming his power supply.
Yeah, he would, yeah. I am actually causing a deficit in the output of plastic in the region right now. This bit is actually quite challenging because it's not quite long enough to lay it flat on the bottom, which is a bit of a shame actually. But there's not really a great deal I can do about that. Maybe a cable extender might have done the trick, but what the heck. Yeah, I'm not overly impressed with that. That would have gone... Okay, that'll do.
Turn that into a cat toy.
Car toy.
Cat toy.
Right, let's sort out some of these cables.
Shut up, the cat.
I do apologise for those of you that can't actually see what I'm doing, but unfortunately, yeah, I'm slightly limited on what I can do right now.
Super Goofy says when he built a PC, the part with the cables and the whole cable management mess gives him a headache.
Yeah, it does. Thing is, I generally, well, I know when I've done builds before, I generally kind of, this bit I just cram into the back. But actually on some builds I do spend a bit of time and actually measure the cables and do all that kind of stuff.
Just not on live streams.
Just not on a live stream if I can possibly help it. So that's good, we're good there. Yeah, I think we're pretty much good to go. That is a shame that that hasn't worked out better.
Some are great, some are
Summer shit. Gotta say that just to get my 18 rating. Okay. Well, none of this is going to be visible.
I'll put the Discord link in so.
It's a shame that isn't better there. But, okay. We're getting there. We're getting there. How are we looking now? We're looking a little bit better? Are we moderately happy with this now? This is all quite tidy. This is relatively tidy. This, I can't really do a great deal about that because that is kind of bare metal, essentially. That could do with being folded round a little bit. I don't really want it touching the glass when the glass is against it, but these are flat cables for the most part. So now we've got just the cables up here to sort out, so we can probably bunch that up in there. So if you run that along up the top. Actually, is there any mounting areas there that I can put something through? No, no punch outs. Oh, actually, there is something there which isn't a punch out but can be turned into one. So there's 2 holes there for mounting a SSD in the front. So if I loop a cable tie through those 2 holes, because we're not going to be putting another drive in there. So that's it, we've got a cable tie there now. That's fan-frickin-tastic. And that is just overspill cabling, yeah. So if we measure the bend about there.
Bucky Cat's nice. He says it looks like a nice build so far.
Thanks Bucky Cat for appreciating the build. God bless you. Or whatever your denominational thing is. Yeah. I just can't wait to get this thing fired up now. Who'd have thought it? A live stream PC build and it probably getting turned on at some point.
Bang.
Screw you, Uncle Kerry. I actually want to go to America just to visit Kerry Holzman. We could do a build off in his kitchen because he's got a massive kitchen.
So I do accept people in.
Right click and just assign them a thing, a user, a noob status, yeah. Do you reckon, people? You see that okay? Cable ties are your friend. They're not a friend of the ocean. I suppose I should count how many I've used actually.
Yeah, that's what.
And then pay Greta tax. Okay. Poor old Greta, she gets some stick mine, doesn't she? Mostly here. Actually, I'm kind of rushing this a little bit now, just to get it done. I'll probably take it all apart tomorrow and start again. Okay, I think we're actually getting somewhere now. Although saying that, I don't think I can actually physically stick the cable through for the main power now, because I put so much stuff in the way and so much plastic in the way. But hey ho. Unfortunately, I think for this last bit, I might just have to just concede slightly and just tuck that in underneath. A bit like Bill did in Silence of the Lambs. Just tuck it in, son. It's fine.
Put lipstick on.
But what do you reckon? Do you reckon that's tidy enough? Is that passable? Obviously, we'll put this in. Calf, don't forget to charge your Fitbit.
Greta does her cable ties. What?
Greta doing her hair with cable ties.
Yeah, and the ocean is big enough for a few cable ties. They let her.
There's a big old ocean out there.
Do we rate setups?
Do we rate setups? Not particularly, but I suppose there's always a first time.
Nice. Sparkles. That's cheating.
Who says that?
And exactly what Kev would do.
I think that works. It's a shame that's not longer. An inch or two longer, that would have been perfect. That's what she said. So, what do you reckon for the finished? Can you put that on live, please?
It is online.
That's not live. I did that an hour ago.
That's as far as my bar go.
Oh, was it? Oh, maybe we are slightly delayed. Oh, I didn't do the latency thing. Hey ho. Okay, so yeah, I think we're pretty good there. If I look down here, a quick visual, I don't think there's anything else which is sticking out particularly offensively. And
Matthew Day's in the house.
hello, Matthew Day. Let's put some side panels on.
Nice time to put on. Michael Jackson, that smashing glass here. What's that one on?
Do you know what? That is the easiest install for a side panel that I've done in a long time. Mostly, I guess, because of taking due care and attention of the rat's nest inside it. Okay, so that's looking good, and doesn't seem to be bulging anywhere the glass, which is a fantastic sign. Do I dare to put the other side on as well? Right, something's gone wrong on this side because the glass don't fit. So what have I not lodged in there properly? Just need a little bit of persuasion. They're all good. I've got to be honest with you, I am moderately happy with this.
Smile.
Smile, it's done reasonably well. One thing actually something I don't like, the Arctic cooler, the cable on it is a bit ridiculous. I might be able to train it so it actually works differently, but...
Sparky, oh god, that one time I was building a PC and put the IO shield, I had to unscrew the motherboard.
Right, please can we not talk about the IO shield, the whole kerfuffle there. It's not going to happen, I'm not taking it out. Although saying that actually, I probably could do quite easily now.
Kev said smash.
Smash. Front panel is the next one.
Ching.
Now the front panel, this is another slight bugbear of mine with this case. There's no filtration on the side, which isn't a big deal because the angle of the airflow is going to be very good for actually deflecting the dust and debris. Anyway.
Do you want your IP hammer?
Right.
It says it goes on better with a hammer.
Does it?
Yeah, in the middle though.
Oh, I'll try that. Okay, so there's always left to do now is to try it and see if it actually works. So at the moment we should have some illumination on the motherboard, which I can actually see. So actually, let's kill the lights. Hey Google, turn off the lights. For those of you who have just been plunged into darkness, I do apologise.
Top air filter.
Top air filter I cannot put on because it's slightly uneven.
Dave says side panels on before the boot is bad luck.
It is.
It is for me if you catch me on there. Top air filter.
I've not put it on because it doesn't fit, because the screws are too big. That appears to work. One way of finding out, although I've not got a keyboard and mouse connected, but if I disconnect the VGA from here and plug into said device, which one's that? Thanks for that. And does it boot? No. Oh, yeah, it does.
Turn my screen off.
Yay! There we go.
Do I turn my screen off?
Oh, you can't. You have to close the windows. There we go. Right, so where is the remote control? Now currently the fans haven't been set up, so they're on full whack. And on fan auto, it's doing the same. So we need to set up the fans, but other than that, it's all good.
Noob's giving
And
you
we turn the lights on off.
buy an IO shield.
I've got an IO shield. It's in the box somewhere. I think. There we go. The lovely unicorn puke. Shame I can't actually see what's going on. How does it look? Does it look good? I quite like it. With those fans at full pelt, it is actually moving a ridiculous amount of air. It really is.
Shame you ain't got hair.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Like Marilyn Monroe's dress.
Actually, Kath, this is going to be possibly difficult, but can you get the Logitech K400 keyboard?
Why don't you use a packet?
For what?
It's airflow.
Don't be silly. Can you get the Logitech K400 keyboard and the USB receiver which is in the PC behind the TV, please? Thank you. And we'll try and get into the screen and see if we can sort out these fans, make it a little bit quieter. See if we can get the PWM control to work. Yeah, because that is just insanity. So motherboard sync off, on. See, fan auto should, in theory, be going, well, not be going, it should be off. But I might have it connected to the pump header, so we need to use the ASUS fan control software to try and regulate the fans.
Is your screen reflecting?
Hmm?
Is your screen reflecting?
That was it. Thank you. Thank you. This is a good test to see if the USBs actually work. I would take that as a yeah.
Better?
So let's have a look. Is that screen visible, Kath?
What screen?
That screen on the stream.
No.
Okay. So I'll put my
It looks amazing apart from the missing IO shield.
looks amazing apart from the IO shield. I love it. I love you guys. Right, you can't see hardware monitor that I'm on at the moment, but I just want to check to see if it's registering that fan speed in the BIOS. So CPU fan, is it some ridiculous speed, which is obviously wrong? Wow, that is running cold. Right, so that's not running on PWM, so let's put it to fan auto.
What fans are you using?
What fans? They are the SaharaGaming Typhoon 14s. So let's go into the BIOS and see if we can get this to register. It would be ironic actually, because I've got two Sahara controllers, one of which the PWM didn't work and one did. So being that I've stuck that in there with heavy duty double-sided tape, it's very, very likely that I've stuck the wrong one in. We'll see. Let's get into the BIOS. Okay, so CPU fan, water pump. So the CPU fan is running at ridiculous speed o'clock. Okay, right, let's go into Q fan control. Optimize all. And see what we can pick up. Way! We got a super chat from somebody. Well, I can't tell who because Matthew Day. Thank you very much, Matthew Day. Matthew Day has done the super chat deliberately to get the RGB to look better than my PC. Thank you very much. So fan calibrating. So it's not picked up the PWM signal. What the hell was that?
That's the cat going crazy again. Gonna let her hear
Oh
it.
dear, the cat's gone crazy.
She said her dog was running around like a horde of horses.
Right, that's set to fan auto now, so let's see what's going on with this, because that ain't right at all. I'd imagine I have put the wrong the wrong hub in here, which would be just my luck for keeping all stuff. I've got a habit of anything I get which doesn't work, I keep it, rather than just doing what I should do and just slinging it in the bin straight away. I actually keep it.
You don't go to the seaside very often.
Yeah, we don't go to the seaside to chuck it in. So still doing a fan calibration. Don't know if I can turn that round far enough actually. So let's disconnect the fan, which would be right at the very bottom, wouldn't it? That's better. Let's see if it picks it up on that other header. May need to reboot the system now to pick that up. No, I think I've upset the BIOS because of trying to calibrate the fans whilst it was disconnected, so let's reboot. Which luckily there is actually a reset button. Oh, the irony, if that PWM header just still doesn't work. Okay, so yeah, it's still not passing through that connector. Why is it not doing that? God's sake.
No.
What's the matter? Hey!
For the IO Shield fund.
IO Shield fund. Oh, we're having a GoFundMe for an IO Shield.
Actually, I've left that light on. That's probably not helping matters, is it?
Bless you. Bless you. Who's that from? Bootier, and thank you very much. Right, let's try optimize all again. See if we can get these fans to do something sensible. That is generating a lot of airflow. Well, it's running nice and cool, which you'd expect. Even though, saying that, the ambient temperature in the room at the moment is probably about 23, 24 degrees, so it's pretty toasty in here right now. And when it was in Windows just now and I fired up hardware monitor, we're looking at 29 degrees for both the package and the core temperatures, which is insane. That's like 5 degrees over ambient, which is absolutely incredible. So what have we got here? So see, PWM, so why is that ramped up so crazily? Alright, CPU fans are working as intended. So we'll put that to standard. Chassis fan 2. That should... Who, sorry?
Glenn.
Glenn?
Yeah.
Hello, Glenn. God bless you. Well, I think that is changing, isn't it? The fan speed is changing.
Vape airflow test?
Yeah, where is the vape?
I don't know, should I get George's?
Yeah, go on
Oh,
then.
he's got good work tomorrow night.
Sorry for all you can see is the back of my head right now, but I'm trying to look at the screen. Let's see if we can pull that right down. That's getting better. See if we can pull that. Right, let's maybe switch that to DC. Fan off.
It's on apparently.
Okay.
ports set to the right mode?
Yeah, the ports are set to both, but I think it is the controller because there is a slight difference in there, but hey ho. Right, let's do the vape. Actually, how do you work this thing?
I don't know. I think he said it's on.
I should have put the side panel on. Holy crap. It's pulling air in, isn't it?
Put the side panel on.
I'll try. I will try.
Can you change the fan light to purple or red?
Can I change? Yes. There's red. Purple might be a little bit more of a difficult one. Let's try purple, 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 purple. Is that purple?
Yeah.
Let's get this thing on there. Let's drop my microphone, which I already have. There we go. I'll put the screws in because you know otherwise what is going to happen is I'll go to move the case later and the glass will fall out, straps all over the floor, and there will be tears before bedtime. Hey Google, turn on the lights. Oh crap, not all the lights. Oh, what the hell. Oh, that's perfect then. Right, so let's see if we can get some vape air going through there.
After you day, you thought it won't go through the front fans, but then you realised it's glass. Is that actually an intake?
So actually, even though it's intaking, it's not directly pulling it in there. You can feel there is airflow coming in, but it's not like really harsh. So it isn't going to pick up a great deal of dust.
No, it's not vape, is it, if you're not coughing?
Did it come straight at the back?
Don't know. Guns iceable thread.
It's probably not the best way of doing that. Oh, that's hot. That's going to need a decent clean tomorrow. Anyway, you get the general idea. So, lighting wise, let's go through the modes. So you've got the flashing modes, got those things, and you can change the speed as well. So, there's quite a slow. This is the colour flow, which is pretty much exactly the same as what's going on behind there.
The tissue test would have been better.
Tissue test? Oh, what, to see if it blows it?
Yeah. That's why I gave you the mini cheddars test. What do you need?
I do like RGB
Do
lighting.
you need... I don't have any tissue.
There's something a bit freaky going on there because it's got 2 points on it and then it goes to a third point when it gets to there.
Oh yeah. On the bottom one.
Yeah.
On the back one. I let us see Bigfoots a few times in our garden.
Bloody me. So, more colour cycles. That one's pretty cool. Yeah, there looks to be something a little bit screwy with the RGB, because notice the extra colours that are coming in there rather than being a solid. Now I'm wondering if that's to do with that fan controller not working properly. Potentially it is.
Sparky had a crazy idea. Those fan holograms in China, put those suckers inside the PC.
Oh, fan holograms, yeah, that would be pretty cool. So, there we go. I think we're pretty much done. I can't think if there's anything else really I can do to this apart from, well, take it all apart again. That'd be fun.
Put it in another.
Put it into another case, which we probably will end up doing very, very shortly. So, any questions? Actually, just open up my screen again so I can see what is going on. Actually, should I do a temperature test, some sort of benchmark? Let's do an exit and do a reboot.
Shall I go outside?
Where are we? Save and exit.
Speed it up to check.
Okay, so that is done. I can actually see the comments and questions now. So Matthew Day said, I thought it's not going in the front fans. It's because it's got a glass front, yeah. Which is actually, I quite like the glass front. I didn't think I would, but I kind of do. And the back panel, that sounds really like disgusting, saying back panel. I don't know why. Maybe it's just my mind. So you can see the back panel, even in this kind of lighting, doesn't really show a great deal through there. You can see that even though the wiring was done quite well-ish, it didn't really make a great deal of difference because you just see this kind of blacked out version. There's so much air coming out the back of there. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of hair coming through the top of here, but let's go into Windows and let's put something on. What have I got on here which has got a benchmark? Far Cry New Dawn. So let's fire up. Oh, Thor's going. Night Thor, thanks for dropping by.
Glenn asked how much.
Glenn asked how much?
Yeah.
What for the case?
Yeah.
In this configuration, £79 UK. Without the fans and controller, about 55-60. So currently in hardware monitor, all cores are currently at 3.5 gigahertz across all 8 cores and 16 threads. And temperature wise, currently we are at, now this is just boosting up, so everything's running as processes. At the moment, the minimum has been 31 degrees C and the maximum has been 42 degrees C. And currently in the room, I'd say is probably about 23, 24 degrees, Kath, would you say? We set the heat booster to 24. Actually, I feel really cool here now because there's so much air coming out the back of here. It's insane.
Charles Arnold has a question.
Charles Arnold has a question. Stroke thought, okay.
Can two computers have synchronized RGB lighting?
Excuse me. Can two computers have synchronized RGB lighting? Yes. We have actually done that, Kath and I, haven't we? We both had the Sahara cases. I had the P10 Sync. You had the EK33, I think. No, you had the P10 Sync. I had the EK33, and they both use the same Sahara lighting system. And from one remote control, I could control both RGB lighting sets. So in that respect, yes, it was synchronized across 2 PCs. So currently, yeah, everything's loaded up now in Windows. It's idling at 31 degrees C. So let's go into CPU-Z, and I'll run the stress test on the CPUs and see what we get.
Kev's going to bring his shorts when he comes down. It's a bit toasty.
How old is that on there? I don't know. Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about at the piece. It's quite funny watching myself in repeat. Okay, so we're going to run the bench test.
Everyone else is watching us live.
Yeah, I know. So stress test, and we're boosting up pretty well. All the cores are hitting 3.9, which is the maximum on the 1700X. Just double check that. Yep, 3.892. So for argument's sake, that's 3.9. All cores at 100%. Currently drawing. Where is it? I can never remember where this is. %. So
days that probably slip over time.
we're currently drawing 67 amps for the CPU, and the total package power consumption for this part, it currently is 107 watts, which I believe is a 95 watt rated part, so it's actually overclocking itself a little bit higher, and it seems to be maxing out. The package temperature is 60 degrees, and the CPU temperature is currently at 56. So for air cooling with a little bit of water cooling as well, even though I've turned the cooler right down for the Arctic freezer, it's running in kind of silent mode. 56 degrees on 240mm AIO under full load is not bad, considering it's like 24 degrees in that house anyway, or 23 degrees ish. That is running very, very cool. And it'll probably creep up maybe a degree or two, but it's definitely going to stay under 60 degrees at the CPU temperature. Package is still at 60. Normally you'd expect to see your package temperature a few degrees higher than the actual CPU temperature because it measures different cores, etc. But it seems to be doing pretty darned well. That is quite impressive. But it is chucking through a considerable amount of air.
You need a wig, don't you, for when it's...
Yeah, I need a wig so it can blow my hair through. Not bad, not bad at all. I think under a sustained load, under 60 degrees is pretty decent. Kev says, remind me to bring my shorts when I come down, toasty. Yeah, we get, if you've got Hive heating at your home, if you're signed up, you get an email come through every now and then telling you the temperatures of houses and your average temperatures and all that. And ours is always like way above the neighbours or local area.
But that's usually because we've got the wood burner blowing.
Yeah.
We don't even have our
So,
heating on.
yeah, so that is, that's not done too bad. I think that's running pretty cool. 57. Yeah, letter says, not bad, you're close to my 53 C max CPU temp. So Aletta's got a very elaborate water cooling solution, which is a custom loop. So obviously custom loop's going to have considerably more water in it because of you've got your reservoir and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of thermal mass there to warm up. So for a off-the-shelf all-in-one cooler to be running it, it's just crept up to 58 degrees. Still under 60, so that is pretty good. And it's with a mild overclock again, like I said, and it doesn't seem to be throttling at all. It's still at actually, if I look at the reference CPU measurement, oh, that's the wrong mouse. Schoolboy error. So there we go. So yeah, we're doing pretty well. Pretty darn well. So let's stop that test now and see how quickly it normalizes back down to regular temperature. Now, because this isn't connected to the internet at the moment, it's actually going crazy trying to connect up to Discord, OneDrive, Adobe Creative Cloud and all the other cloud services. So there's a lot of other CPU processes going on in the background as well. And we are currently, the temperature's down to, we're at 39 degrees now, 35, 34, 33. Just spiked again to 39, down to 35. But it seems to be up 34 I've just seen, 33. So it's going to start equalising now down to this kind of base temperature. It may even drop below the 30 degrees. There is certainly enough airflow in there for sure. And with that air cooler, water cooler rather. Normally with water coolers you don't see the temperatures drop down that quickly. Normally they stick around. That is one of the offsets of air cooling versus water cooling. Air coolers generally dissipate heat very quickly, but they get hot very quickly, whereas water coolers take a while to kind of reach an equilibrium.
Liquid freezer 2 is a beast as far as AIOs go.
Yeah, that's right. Glenn's just saying there, the liquid freezer 2 is a beast, and it totally is. I just wish they had shorter water pipes, flow pipes, or interchangeable ones. That would make it a pretty decent cooler. It is very good, but those longer pipes do make it difficult for cable management and all that kind of stuff. So we're down to 32 degrees now. And it may well get cooler. But there we go. I think that's...
Why don't those pipes have like glow tubes?
I like the hollow ones.
Yeah, like those ones you bend and make them glow, but that style.
Well, they are inside of that braiding. They're generally clear or rubber. Kath was just asking, why do the water pipes not have like that clear stuff or the glowing material inside? Some of them actually do, but because it's braided, etc., you can't always see it. If it was an open loop system, then you'd be able to see it through clear tubing, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that's worked out pretty darn well. 32 degrees certainly is coming down. So let's turn this off and then we can take it all apart again.
Oh, sorry, George.
Shut down. Go on, shut down. It's probably going to get upset now because it can't connect to the internet, so it won't be able to update the settings. Oh, no, it's done it. So there we go. There is the SaharaGaming C500 series. I'm not sure what the last two digits are. I think there's another two digits, either a TR, TS or something like that. But again, if you're watching this in the repeat, then you'll be able to see all the details of that in the show notes, which Kath will lovingly put in. So make sure you check them all out.
What's that, sorry?
All the show notes for the model, see which one it is. Let's plug back in the streaming PC so I can actually see what is going on. Yay, it's working. So overall, considering, what time did we start this stream? 8:30?
Yeah.
8:30. So considering we probably spent the last 15-20 minutes messing around with the settings and what have you, not bad. Probably about an hour and a half build. Considering we've got 3 lots of glass in there, I don't think that's done too badly at all. Happy days. So, yeah.
Arctic Freezer 34 Duo or Master Cooler Master Liquid 240.
So, what's that? Very high chance. Arctic Freezer 34 Duo or Cooler Master Liquid Light or AIO. I've got to be honest with you, I've had both of them, and I would say the Cooler Master Liquid isn't bad. It's a little bit noisy. The pump, I find the pump to be quite noisy. And there was a reason why the Master Liquids were reduced massively in price. It was A, because they copied the Ace-Tech design, which they weren't supposed to, because they didn't license it or something along those lines. And also, the pump's design wasn't great, so it used to gurgle quite a bit. Especially under a large load, it seemed to gurgle more than you'd expect it to. So I would say for reliability and longevity, the Arctic Freezer 34 Duo definitely. Even actually the Arctic Freezer 34, just the single fan version, I find the single fan version does almost as well, if not as well, as the dual fan version, but obviously the dual fan version does look a lot nicer. But yeah, other than that, it's not too bad. not too bad at all. I'm quite happy with that. I'm a bit concerned about the fact I've possibly put in the wrong PWM controller from the set that I had, because I have actually got a few of them. There's the other one. So I expect that is the good one. Schoolboy error. I should have checked it before I started the stream, but I was too excited to get in and start doing stuff.
Charles is going, isn't he?
Charles is going, so hope you've had some enjoyment. Hey, it's got to be better than what's on TV tonight, surely. Yeah, Letter says, very nice build. Good going, Mike. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So yeah, I think that is pretty much it. So this has been the Sahara Gaming, the C500 series case, my build and experience with it. Hopefully, like some of the others have found, it's been informative, and if you're maybe considering getting this case or doing a build in this case, then hopefully it's giving you some pointers of what to do and where to put things and how to wire things. Obviously, I am no expert. I'm just doing this because I enjoy doing it and I'm mad enough to do it on camera. So if you've enjoyed it, great. If you've got any comments or suggestions and you're watching this in the rerun, then please do feel free to put in the comment section any suggestions you may have. Totally will take them on board. I may actually do a kind of a quick rebuild of this, putting the 120mm fans in and possibly changing the controller for one that actually does the PWM so it works properly, so get better ideas of noise, temperatures, all those kinds of things. I think that'd be quite nice to round off this kind of review. But hopefully you've enjoyed it, you've seen how it works, and maybe you consider buying one. And if you don't consider buying one, maybe consider buying one of the Mike's Unboxing t-shirts from the links in the video description. But in the meantime, I've been Mike, that's been Kath, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the next live stream. Thanks for watching.
I invite Katie's alarm.
Just noticed Katie's come in the house. Hi Katie. Bye Katie. You're a bit too late. Good night everyone, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.